I thought that Vice President and Provost Jim Wolpert gave a good welcome yesterday, but I wanted you to have an opportunity to meet our president too, and he couldn't be here yesterday, and so he very graciously agreed to come and meet with you today. And he is our 10th president, and I say that because I want you to let you know that I haven't been here forever. He's only my 6th president. He's a native of North Dakota, and he's kind of moved back closer to his Midwest roots when he came here to UNI. And I will say one thing: we really appreciate the energy and vitality that his wife Judy and he have brought to the campus. It's really been a pleasure to watch you operate the last couple of years, Bill. Appreciate that. And he seems to like Prairie, so that's a good point. We really appreciate that as well. So with no more introduction than that, Bill Rood.
Thanks, Darrell. You guys look really comfortable. This is my dress down outfit. I have to put a suit and tie on this afternoon because I have to go down to Des Moines and see the governor. Because you don't see the governor without your suit and tie on, especially if you're asking for money. And we're always asking for money. I told somebody the other day, I've reached the epitome of my career. You know, this university's kind enough to provide me with a home on campus, so I've reached the epitome of my career where I live in public housing and I beg for money. So anyway, thank you, Darrell. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I was telling someone on the way in, I guess this weather's good for the corn and the beans, right? Yeah, that's what they tell us. Yeah, okay. And that's why they put air conditioning in the cabs of all the tractors. Okay. Thanks for coming to UNI. Thanks for coming to the 2015 Iowa Prairie Conference. We deeply appreciate your commitment to be here, and we also appreciate your commitment to returning once prolific prairie land to the landscape. UNI and I are wholeheartedly committed to progressive ecological approaches to using native vegetation, most notably through the work of our great Tallgrass Prairie Center. The center uses 65 acres of campus leased land, and I'm proud to say, if you want to see it, it's about a 20-foot by 10-foot kidney-shaped patch in my front yard of Tallgrass Prairie. We planted it a year and a half ago. It's doing well. And I remember when Darrell came to say, I asked him, I said, shouldn't we have some Tallgrass Prairie in the president's home? Well, people might ask questions. I said, well, geez, if we got the Tallgrass Prairie Center and the president doesn't have any, what kind of a statement does that make? So he promised that we test out the first one and then figure out where we'd have a couple more spaces. But it's great, it's wonderful, it shows off what we do. I'm committed. I mean, I'm one of those big fans when I go over to Tallgrass Prairie and I see the demonstrations, especially with the long roots and all that other stuff. I don't understand why every highway in the state of Iowa doesn't have Tallgrass Prairie planted by the side of it, okay? I don't understand why we don't reach out and do that more and more often. It just makes sense. It's easy, it's environmental, it's aesthetic, it's good looking, it's for the public good. It's kind of like windmills. I told somebody the other day, if you'd have come to Iowa 150 years ago, there wouldn't have been a farm without a windmill. So what's the big deal? When that prairie land was planted, I was a little bit leery because I was impatient. It didn't grow right away. And then when it grew out, it didn't grow out in the pretty colors. It grew out green. And then I reminded myself from my biology classes, that's what it's supposed to do. But the land's great. It's watched. I know Darrell looks after it. I know the folks from Tallgrass Prairie come over. The University of Northern Iowa, you probably noticed it on campus. We're very proud of it. In addition to all the things we're doing for Tallgrass Prairie, we pride ourselves on this campus being beautiful. One of the comments we get most often from parents and students and other visitors to campus is it looks great on this campus, and we take the time to really make sure that it looks good, it looks beautiful. So be comfortable as long as you're here. walking around campus, opening doors, looking at what we have to offer, and making sure that you're comfortable. During this year's conference sessions, I know you'll learn from leaders in the field of natural resource preservation and management. Also, you'll gain knowledge while sharing ideas with others while you're doing your tours, your breaks, your meal times. I urge you to take advantage of this conference. Every conference I go to, I set a simple rule for myself. Bring home one thing, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff you hear that's like, yeah, I know that. There's a lot of stuff you hear that's, that doesn't make any sense. Bring home one thing that you, especially one thing you can put to use on Monday. That would be the goal. So learn, listen, hear what other people are doing. The other commitment I would make to you is if you meet someone who's close to you in terms of travel distance, make a commitment to go visit them and vice versa. See what they're doing. See what kind of help you can give them and what kind of help they can give you. The other thing I appreciate, now I guess the good news on a day like today, you could be doing 1,000 other things today, but when it's 90 degrees outside to sit in air-conditioned student union, I guess that's a pretty good deal. We appreciate your willingness to invest not only today, but your future and your career, and I see a lot of young folks out there investing your future in thinking about how, what I call back to the future, how we can use those things that we already have. I'm a big fan of wind energy. I'm a big fan of solar energy. I'm a big fan of renewables. I just came from China, and if you think they're waiting for us, guess again. In the city of Beijing, 22 million people, 5 million vehicles. All right, kind of wrap your head around that one. A car in Beijing costs 100,000 yen. Okay, that's about $18,000, $19,000. A license plate in the city of Beijing costs 100,000 yen. Okay, unless you have an electric or a hybrid vehicle, then it's free. Okay, so if you think they're waiting around for the U.S. to figure out how to get back to the ground, guess again. All the buses are electric. I rode on the bullet train from Shanghai to Beijing, 1,000 miles in 4 hours. Okay, and really no sensation of going 250 miles an hour. That's an electric train. Okay, so keep pushing hard, guys, even against the naysayers, because I know, I see the smile. I know occasionally there's a naysayer to what you're thinking about. Like, why do we need to do that? Or we'll do it next year, or we'll take it up at the next board meeting, or come back in a couple of years and figure it out. Push hard. 2 pieces of advice, 2 simple pieces of advice. Persistence and patience, okay? You gotta keep getting up the next day and saying, yep, this is a good idea. Somebody told me if it was a good idea 10 years ago, it's still a good idea today. The second one is be aggressive without being obnoxious. Here's the reason why. As soon as you're obnoxious, all the issues and ideas go away and they pay attention to you, the obnoxious person. So be persistent, be patient, be aggressive without being obnoxious. It's time well spent. Thank you for coming to this conference. Welcome to the University of Northern Iowa. You need to know that we're very, very proud of our role in the state of Iowa. We're beginning to coin the phrase that UNI, or the University of Northern Iowa, is much more than that. We like to think of ourselves as the University of Nothing Impossible. So welcome, thanks, have a great week.